Good morning. Before we get to the issues, let me explain where the GJ and GL designations come from. Both refer to the Mazda 6, but to different years. GJ covers cars manufactured up to 2016, and GL from 2016 to the present. The change of designation was associated not only with the improvement of the car's equipment, but also, among other things, with the refinement of the structure, body, suspension, diesel engine. The soundproofing, which was previously exceptionally poor, was improved. Those interested in buying the 6 are certainly most interested in the issue of corrosion protection. Well, one can only say that it is not sufficient. Again, most of these cars hold up well or very well even after years, but there are also numerous cases of rusty efflorescence in various places. Additional corrosion protection is recommended. The poor quality of the paintwork does not help either. Other external defects include the mirror folding motors that are not very durable, and the hood can vibrate while driving. In cars with matrix headlights, it sometimes happens that the lighting does not work as it should. The interior is problematic due to the multimedia system, it freezes, the failing seat guides, and the door speakers, which are exposed to moisture and can come apart, resulting in a rattling sound. The problem also concerns the Bose audio system, for which it is rather impossible to find any replacements, and the original elements from the authorized service center are expensive. Side note: apart from the efficient Bose audio system, cheaper systems have a very average opinion in terms of sound quality. This type does. Apart from all this, you also need to pay attention to the upholstery and finishes made of artificial, so-called ecological leather. They are not very durable, as are the door seals. Remember that the multimedia screen cannot be operated by touch while driving. This is not a defect. There aren't many complaints about the chassis. The most annoying are the problems with the braking system, specifically the front brake discs that are beating. You can try replacing them, but there's no guarantee that the problem won't return after some time. Some sources also mention relatively fast, compared to other cars in this segment, tire wear. Interesting fact: Mazda 6 was and is available on 17 or 19-inch rims. There are no 18-inch rims in the range. One last thing: threaded connections may be corroded. Caution is recommended, and appropriate means are used when unscrewing bolts that do not look particularly good. In Europe, the third-generation Mazda 6 was, and is, offered with 2 petrol engines, loosely based on the older L-Series engines. These 2 engines are 2.0 Skyactiv G, 145 or 165 HP, 2.5 Skyactiv G, until June 2018 192 HP, thereafter 194 HP. Additionally, in some markets, including the US, you can also choose the 2.5 Skyactiv G Turbo 231 HP variant, but I will not deal with this drive unit here. About both naturally aspirated engines, there is only so much that can be said. About faults, of course. In this respect, these are some of the least problematic units on the market, and the only serious problems concerned oil pumps. They could have too low efficiency, worn camshafts on the intake side, faulty crankcase ventilation valves, and cars with the IA loop system, which uses a capacitor to store energy recovered from braking or deceleration. In some cars, there was a risk of fire, but this problem has already been dealt with. In addition, there were problems with the start-stop system, called iStop by Mazda, but this should be remedied by a software update. Probably most cars affected by this problem already have updated software. Other issues worth mentioning: due to direct fuel injection, carbon deposits are deposited, and in older cars, or those with higher mileage, you can encounter problems with the intake manifold. The gaskets at the connection between the manifold and the engine can crack or be damaged. Minor leaks do occur, e.g. from under the valve cover. A noisy cold engine is not a fault, unless something sounds clearly wrong. The car sounds different because the catalytic converter is heated to operating temperature at an accelerated rate in the initial moments after starting. This is not an uncommon phenomenon among other cars, but it seems that in the case of Mazda, more people are wondering about this issue, because surprisingly many sources mention it. The diesel engine was offered in the Mazda 631 until the beginning of 2021. We are talking about the 2.2 Skyactiv D unit, which was available in 3 power versions. 150 HP from start of production to 2021. 175 HP from the beginning of production, i.e. 8/2012 to 6 2018. 184 HP from 7 2018 to 2 2021. All versions have 2 turbochargers, which can translate into repair costs. This is not about the issue of undurable turbochargers, but about the fact that early models, the problem concerns the first 2 years of production, had problems with oil pressure, which could negatively affect the durability of individual engine components. As in the case of Skyactiv G, the problem was caused by camshafts. In many cases, faulty drive units were replaced with new ones, at the same time extending the warranty. Another problem, which may be connected with lubrication problems, is the faulty operation of the particulate filter, which is of course a typical fault of many modern diesels, but it is worth mentioning. The DPF in the Mazda 6 belongs to the group that does not like city use and interruption of the soot-burning process. Too frequent attractions of this type will result in diluting the engine oil with diesel fuel, which will worsen lubrication. Interestingly, there are people who claim that there is no such problem in the Mazda, and that the filter burns without a problem even during city driving, and the process can be safely interrupted. However, the number of completely unrelated sources, saying the exact opposite, is definitely too large to ignore these reports. Mazda 6 gigajoule per gigaliter can be bought with a 6-speed manual gearbox or with a hydrokinetic automatic with the same number of gears. Both gearboxes can be recommended, although there was a faulty batch of automatic gearboxes in older cars, but generally you don't hear much about repeatable faults, maybe only about a fragile third-gear synchronizer in a manual gearbox. You have to remember to change the oil in the hydrokinetic. All Mazda 6s of this generation have standard front-wheel drive. You don't hear about problems related to it. The diesel could optionally have 4-wheel drive. I couldn't find anything negative about it either. The Mazda 6.3 is far from perfect in terms of anti-corrosion protection, but fortunately most models do not yet have problems with ore. Provided that the car is properly protected, you can gain a chance of many years of peaceful use. It is particularly pleasing that nothing serious is happening to the Skyactiv G engines, at least those from newer years. Diesels have also been improved and should work fine, although petrol engines do well enough here and burn so little that, for this segment, diesel versions are exceptionally unpopular, and in many cases there is not much point in bothering with them. The truth is also that in this segment, there are few cars as good mechanically as the Mazda 6. Faults in most cases are so rare that there is no point in worrying about them in advance. Well, maybe with the exception of the oldest models that have not undergone service campaigns, the car is definitely worth considering. And if you know of any common errors, your comments are welcome.